The Terminator is a 1984 horror action film directed by James Cameron. The film tells a story about a girl named Sarah Connor who is being hunted down by a Terminator, and Kyle Reese, a man who is sent from the future, must protect her at all costs in order for her to give birth to mankind's savior, John Connor. I absolutely love the Terminator films. I think they are half the times good. Admittedly, half the time they're pretty shit, but half the times when they're good, they are really good. And I think with the first two Terminator films, they showcase so much promise for a future franchise that was just begging to grow. But in reality, should have just stopped at the second film. But they decided to keep milking it and just repeat the second movie over and over. And I know the second movie is like probably the overall better film, but the first Terminator film I think is still severely overlooked. Not underrated, as the people who watch it absolutely love it. But compared to Terminator 2, no one talks about the first movie as much. And in my opinion, this film is still incredible. The visual effects here still hold up to this day. Even some of the stop motion effects, while admittedly a bit dated, still look very impressive and gives this robotic exoskeleton of the T-800 such an uncanny feeling to it. I love the way this thing moved when it stopped motion at the end. I think it looked really good, and it helped make it feel robotic, helped make it feel out of this world, like something like in the Uncanny Valley in a way. It is a really good effect there. And a lot of the Stan Winston's makeup and animatronics here all look really good. The Terminator himself, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think is a really formidable threat to our heroes, and Arnold's performance was perfect. This is a kind of role where it doesn't really require a lot from him apart from looking intense and scary, and Arnold Schwarzenegger had it down to a T here. There's a sense of uncanny valley to the character. He looks entirely human, like the pores in the skin, the hairs, everything about it, except his movements, his little behaviors that do make him feel like a robot. Arnold Schwarzenegger knows how to move really weird. He knows how to move like a robot, like he is stiff. He's like doing like stiff movements here. Even for the littlest movements, he does it in a stiff way, and he feels terrifying. And in the action sequences, when he has to try and chase Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese, he is really good, especially with the stunt performances here. I think the action was held very well with incredible stunt performers, but the set pieces themselves, for such a shoestring budget, I think turned out really well. They were intense, they were high octane, full of adrenaline. You are always scared whenever the Terminator is just an inch away from getting Sarah Connor and killing her, and he never gives up. This thing is out for blood, and I love just how determined this machine is to try and get Sarah. And the police shootout in the middle of the film, when he's trying to find Sarah in the police station, one of the best scenes in the entire film to showcase the power and immense threat that the T-800 holds against all the humans. Everyone stood no chance, and when all these professional police officers couldn't kill this thing, not even leave, well, they did leave scars, but they cannot really kill him because he's still a machine. He's just wearing skin outside like they're pieces of clothing, yet he is still moving like normal. There's just no stopping him, and you felt whenever Kyle Reese described this machine, you really did feel like he meant it and that he's been through a lot. And speaking of which, Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese is fantastic. You really do get a sense that this is a man that has been through so much in the future, but has also grown a strange attachment to Sarah Connor. This woman, a reminder of a past life that he could never have, and falling in love with that, knowing that she is the one to bring about this great leader. You really understand how he probably felt when he finally got a chance to meet her and actually start to be a bit more open to her after seeing a flashback where he has to defend himself and some others against a Terminator, and you see that picture burn. We also see a bunch of ruins. We could see how people lived in the future. We understand just how dire the situation is and just how far humanity has fallen. This character is at the brink, and Sarah Connor is the one thing that is giving him hope, and she is absolutely stellar here. She's not the badass that she is in the second film. She is a more naive character of the world around her and what is actually going on and what's going to happen in the future. She's a waitress. She is a bit out of her element, and it's not until the final act where she has to actually be the leader that she needs to be, and to be the one to be able to save the future and be able to give birth to John Connor. These two people forming a romance that definitely has some stuff revolving time and loopholes and everything, stuff like that with time travel movies. It doesn't really matter much in this case because the emotional element and twist of having Michael Biehn be the actual father of John Connor, I think worked very well on an emotional level, because we've seen these two characters go through so much to try and save themselves, and for Michael Biehn to save Sarah Connor from the Terminator. And you get a sense that their relationship is steadily growing for respect and to genuinely falling in love. You understood how we got to certain points to have this relationship work, and I think the movie did a great job at that. The music by Brad Fiedel is also fantastic. It's not orchestral like the Terminator 2 soundtrack. It has a bit more synthesizers to it. It's a bit more techno in tone, and a lot more horror theme. Get a bunch of dun 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 in the background to give a sense that this is more horrific. This is not just a bunch of action stuff. You are going to see some scary shit, and you do get a lot of bloody, brutal moments with the Terminator and how he fixes himself, to how he mows down a whole police station, to how he kills a bunch of civilians. This is in many ways a horror film. Perfect for the season. It's almost Halloween. This I would consider to be a techno horror. It is a lot more brutal. It's a lot more atmospheric. And that is why I'm very excited to check out the new Terminator anime, because it's finally looking like we're going back to that techno horror aspect of the Terminator franchise that I sorely miss. The Terminator, directed by James Cameron, is a phenomenal film and a major stepping stone in the filmmaking in general. It set the foundations of the next sequel that will be one of the greatest films of all time, but by itself, it is still a great action horror film. Great characters, great performances, a great atmosphere, and great special effects, with an engaging story that is in many ways a cautionary tale of what happens if we take our impulses and wanting to improve on technology too much, and how that can lead to a lot of dire consequences, how in many ways we will lose our humanity. I think the movie explored all that incredibly well. Overall, I highly recommend this film. If you haven't seen any of the Terminator films, start from the beginning. This is fantastic. Then go to number 2. Maybe check out Salvation, but Yeah, everything else you can forget, really. Unless it's the anime, which I haven't seen yet. So I'll give you my thoughts when I get to that. I'm going to give the Terminator an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.